What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Powered by Primus, and in today's video we're going to be doing a deck profile video on Octone. I know a lot of people are asking about him, so we're going to be doing him. It's going to be a really exciting little blue deck, so I hope that you guys are really looking forward to it because this is an awesome deck and I'm pretty excited, so let's get into it. Now, originally I was going to do a different version of Octone. It was going to be an all-orange version, which I think is a really fun and really good deck. Jason Fan here, one of our Team Primus members, has a list that does run Octone, Lionizer, and Arcee. It is a really good and fun deck, like I said. It has the potential to put out an insane amount of damage. I mean, nothing is scarier than having like a Lionizer on your Octone and then playing a dual wield and going to pick up like a grenade launcher or something. It is really awesome. However, I've done the last two deck profile videos have been orange, so I didn't want to do a third one, so I am going to get the list from him and I'm going to put that up on our website. So if you guys do want to check out an orange Octone list, you guys can head over to the website, go over to the deck lists, and then you guys are going to be able to find it there. Now, by the time of you guys watching it, it won't be there because obviously I'm talking to you about it now, so this is future me talking to you guys about past me trying to do something. It gets really confusing. So we're going to be doing a blue version today for Octone. This is a deck that I find to be really good. I find it to be really consistent, and it's a really good and consistent deck. That's really the best thing about it, right? Anytime you want to talk about a deck, you want to make sure that it is good and that it is consistent. Normally I do my deck profiles on like either my Grimlock or my Shockwave mat, but you know what? I came across my Alita one today, and this was an awesome one, that I did the hand art on for a couple of months ago. And I thought it was a really nice occasion to be able to bring her back out. Now, I am working on a new piece of art that I'm hopefully going to show you guys tomorrow. I think I almost have it all done. A couple of little touch-ups, so really cool stuff. So we're going to be talking about these three here today. So now let's first off talk about our Capricious Agitator. That is going to be Octone himself. Used to be Octane for a lot of people who know that, obviously, like name reasons and stuff. They end up going with Octone, or I guess licensing stuff. So he's going to be a ranged character while he's in bot mode. He has 6 attack, 17 health, and 2 armor. And then it says when this does enough attack damage to KO an enemy, you get to use this card's bounty ability. Now, all the mercenaries that did come out with Wave 4 all did have some of these bounty abilities. Really, I guess they all had bounty abilities. Really cool little mechanic behind them. And then his bounty does say deal 2 damage to an enemy, so you don't have to do it to like a specific target. They don't have to be in bot mode, be in alt mode. You can just get to do 2 damage to an enemy. So really fun, really powerful stuff. And then when we flip over to this mode, which I'm going to be using this really fancy slider, Wes does make these. He's one of our locals, definitely a member of Team Primus. Makes these really awesome sliders for your combiners. So if you guys do want to have one, I will put a link down to his Etsy shop so you guys can go over there and pick those up. Really awesome. And then obviously the mercenary logo on there is just really cool. So really cool stuff. But while we're in this mode, or I'm sorry, in both modes actually, we're going to be melee in truck mode, we're going to be ranged in plane mode, and we're going to have the same stats across the board, 5, 17, 2. Really powerful stuff, the fact that he actually has 2 defense in every single mode, and you actually gain attack here, which is really cool because this is where you're trying to get your bounty ability. Most of the time when you flip over to a character like even like Deadlock, if you guys watched my previous gameplay video, Deadlock actually goes down on attack, and I think Lockdown also goes down on attack, so it's really kind of strange. But he gets to actually go up in attack, which is really cool stuff. And then when you flip to this mode, your opponent chooses one of their Autobots and does 1 damage to it. Now your opponent does get to choose, but 1 damage is very relevant. Other side's going to do the same thing, but for Decepticon, so your opponent gets to choose a Decepticon and deal 1 damage to it. Now the really fun part is if your opponent happens to have an Autobot and a Decepticon, you just get to ping back and forth all day long. And then finally, the abilities on both of them. While you are in truck mode, he has +3 attack if he's attacking an Autobot, and while you're in plane mode, he has +3 attack while attacking a Decepticon. So really awesome stuff. I think this character truly maximizes what they were trying to do with the bounty ability and really kind of show off these mercenary characters. He is by far just designed really well. So big shout out to you guys, Wizards. Killed it with this dude. He is an absolutely amazing card. He is also very hard to get, so I can understand some people not having access to him, but he is an amazing character and is really going to be obviously the star and the highlight of the deck. Now, because we started off in bot modes, although this character will never really spend his time in bot mode unless he's in the KO area, but we do have Flamewar coming in here. She's amazing. She's always in those blue lists, right? She's always at the 5-star. Just going to be really awesome stuff. 3 attack, 10 health, 1 defense. Each of your characters has tough 1, and then that just gives it to all characters, which is really awesome. And then we flip to this mode, which we'll rarely be doing. You get to give bold to all of your characters, so really nice stuff. And then Hot Rod here We do have 4 attack, 10 health, and 2 defense. Again, really nice with that 2 defense, 10 health, really solid number. Really just good character. He is ranged, which is going to be very specific. I'm going to show you guys another character that you can use in his slot instead, and then kind of change up a little bit in the deck too, which is really fun. Going to be ranged, which is really nice. And then with this is in your KO area, and you flip it to this mode, you get to do 1 damage to an enemy. So if you guys don't know, these Sentinels that did come in with Wave 2 that do make Maximus, all have this ability that when they get a flip effects while in the KO area. No one else currently has that, so it's a really nice thing. We're always going to be staying in this mode, so when he gets knocked out later on in the game, boom, you have access to 1 damage at all times, which is really, really nice. And then in this mode, we're again going to be able to keep the range, which is really relevant. 4 attack, 10 health, and 2 defense. We get to keep the same stats across the board. However, we get to pick up built-in Tough 1. Now, this is very relevant because this character we really do not want to be flipping on turn 1. You don't want to have too much flip pressure where you're like, oh, all these characters have really cool abilities. Well, then you're trying to struggle about like which one you flip. So it's really nice to be able to have a character that really is just solid in one mode, and you don't really have to worry about flipping. And it is because we're going to be trying to flip Octone as much as possible in this list for a couple of different reasons. So really good stuff. So we're really going to be flipping Flamewar on our turn 1. Obviously, Octone's going to be sitting here. And if you guys don't know anything about triple changers, they always start in alt mode 1. There is 2 different alt modes, but you always start in alt mode 1. So essentially, this will be your lineup to start the game. And then we're going to be flipping over here to be able to turn on Tough 1. And then we are going to be throwing our Hot Rod in 99% of the scenarios that we're going to be in. This is going to be really nice because now this does give Tough 2 to Hot Rod. And then you already get to get in for that points of damage because you essentially eventually want him to be KO'd, but you want him to take a lot of the damage. And then eventually when he is KO, like I said, we get access to that 1 damage from the scrap pile. So really good stuff, because after we're in this situation, then it's going to just be constantly flipping Octone based on what our needs are going to be with all of that stuff. So really, really fun team. Now let's go ahead and get into the deck. Now we're going to be doing upgrades first, and the first 3 coming in here is going to be Sturdy Javelin. Now this card is an absolutely amazing card in this list. We have 2 ranged characters. Now if you guys don't know, this is obviously going to be a direct damage blue build. So this is going to be more of just kind of hunkering down yourself, trying to take as little damage as possible and trying to deal little bits of damage throughout the game. It's going to be more considered of a mid-range deck where we're going to be taking advantage over and over throughout the course of the game, and then finally getting to the point where we're going to be finishing the deed with Octone, just because that guy hits like a truck, with no pun intended, because he is a truck. So Sturdy Javelin coming in here, a white battle icon, so it's going to allow us to flip 2 more cards on defense, which is really, really nice. And then it does say while this is on a melee character, which Octone is melee while in truck mode, that is relevant, he does get +2. Now, none of the other characters are going to be coming in here with melee, so this is just going to be for him. But again, if we really want to push that damage and we are going into an Autobot, you can actually transform into the melee mode, and then now you're getting +5 going into an Autobot. So it's kind of insane how much damage you can truly get against some of those characters. And then it does say when this is on a ranged character and it attacks, you scrap this card, you get to do 2 damage to an enemy. Again, it gets to go to any enemy. You don't have to choose which enemy it's going into. And then obviously we have Octone in those 2 different modes, whether that's in plain mode or in bot mode, and then both modes, which again, we're probably not going to ever be in bot mode with Hot Rod unless we're in the KO area, be able to get that 2 damage there. The next 3 coming in here is going to be Handheld Blaster. Now this is in here because it is a double blue battle icon card. Really nice, obviously. Like I said, we're trying to hunker down. We're trying to prevent as much damage to us. So that double blue battle icon is going to really help us out on defense. It is a weapon which could be relevant. Like I said, I will talk about that here in a minute. Although this is not ever my card of choice. And then it does give us access to Bold 1. But because we are a heavy blue deck, they're not going to be really using that too much. Now the next 3 coming in here is going to be Kinetic Converter. Now this card I had a lot of back and forth with when it came to putting in the list. First off, it is a white battle icon helping us out on 2 more cards on defense, as well as flipping on offense, but that doesn't help out too much. It is a utility, which is very important, and then it says when you flip the upgraded character to another mode, you get to draw a card. Now, originally, this card was designed with triple changers in mind. That's why it does have 8 face on the art. I use it with my Springer deck pretty much in every list that I have of him. However, I've been kind of moving it to other triple changers as well, just because of the draw power. Now, like I talked about earlier, we're going to be transforming Octone as much as possible, so I really wanted to maximize what we're doing when we transform him. We want to transform him anyway to get additional damage or to possibly get the bounty, but now this allows us to get draw. I really considered putting in Pocket Processor to go in this slot instead. However, I really wanted the white battle icon. I really didn't want more green battle icons. Not to mention, this just always kind of nets us a card when we're doing that, whereas Pocket Processor is a strong card, being able to just draw one at the start of the turn. However, with Pocket Processor being so strong, your opponent tends to just get rid of it and try to remove it as fast as possible. Kinetic Converter is one of those cards that your opponent might let sit because you still have to transform the character. So it may be like, yeah, you're drawing a card, but you still have a condition that you have to meet in order to draw that card. So it may not be as much for your opponent to be able to get off. So like I said, the white battle icon just ended up helping out a little bit. And then our opponent possibly not viewing it as a threat is also really relevant as well. Now the next two coming in here are going to be Energon Axe. It is going to be a blue battle icon helping us out on defense. Probably one of the best weapons that are just in the game for blue in general. It is going to be able to, you have to put it on a damaged character, so that is relevant. And then it does give access to Pierce 2 and then +3 attack, which is really, really nice stuff. I almost considered putting Strafing Run in this deck just because of the Energon Axe. However, I find myself being usually damaged anyway to be able to put on there. There's, you know, a lot of black battle icons, lots of direct damage flying around. So it's really easy to kind of have that one damage on your character at least to be able to get the Energon Axe out. Now the next two coming in here are going to be for almost the exact same purposes. It's going to be Laser Cutlass. This is a blue battle icon card. It is a weapon. Now this does not have to be put on a damaged character. However, it can only go on 7 or fewer star characters. So that means that you can have it on your Flamewar and you can have it on your Hot Rod. And then it does give +1 attack and Pierce 3. So this does run some black battle icons in the deck. I think there's like 10 in total, which is really, really nice to be able to help push a little bit of that direct or that pierce damage just because we are so blue. So between the direct damage and a little bit of pierce damage here and there, we're gonna be able to try to really whittle our opponent down. And then obviously, again, we're getting in for those big swings on Octone. Even though this is a blue deck, man, that guy has the potential to get to like 13 attack, 14 attack. So we can push some really, really big numbers with him so he can get those finishing swings for us. So it's really nice to be able to put on these characters to get that Pierce. And then obviously we put on Flamewar. Now she's looking at 4 Pierce 3. We flip black. She's on 4 Pierce 4. And then kind of the same thing with Hot Rod. A lot of our black battle icons in the deck are double black battle icons. So in most situations when it's even on Hot Rod, we're going to be getting in for 6 Pierce 6. The next two coming in here, which I've debated on making 3 of in here, however, I really like it as a 2 of in the list, is Armed Hovercraft. Now, it is a blue battle icon card. It is an upgrade weapon, and then it does say put on a ranged character. I'm sorry, when you put it on a ranged character, you get to do 1 damage to each enemy. You can put this on a melee character. You can put it on any character you want. However, you do not get that ability if it's not put on a ranged character, and then does give us +1 attack. Now, we are rocking 2 ranged characters, which is the main reason why I'm running 2 of them and not 3 of them, as I just thought 3 was a little unnecessary, especially if you're going up against the 3 wide. It doesn't really do as much as like a lot of these 4 wides and 5 wides that are running around. And then this thing does awesome against the Constructicons. So I don't know how often you're playing against those guys, but being able to play this and just deal 6 is pretty solid stuff. And then you guys may be really curious as to why there's a bunch of weapons in the list. We have weapon, 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 weapon. There is going to be a reason. I'll show it here in just a second, so don't really worry too much about that. Now the next two coming in here is going to be Reflex Circuit. We needed some armor, obviously, right? This is a blue deck. We need some of that armor, and this is going to be a blue and a green battle icon card helping us out on defense and then allowing us to be able to pick it up after combats. Very relevant. All 4 of our armors on the list all have that green battle icon because I think that it is very important to be able to get access to these armors as best as you can. Now it is an upgrade armor, obviously, put on ranged characters only, so this will not be helping your Flamewar, sad Flamewar. However, Hot Rod and Octone are obviously going to love this. And then also, once you put this on Octone, if he is in his ranged mode, it does not fall off if you transform to his melee mode. As long as it met the conditions and you put it on a ranged character, it does not matter if you change out of ranged in any way, shape, or form. The card has already met its conditions and it does get to stay on. So that is nice little information if you guys don't know that. And then it says, while the upgraded character is defending against a melee character, the upgraded character gets an additional +1 defense. So it always comes with +1 built in, and then if you're going up against melee, you get another +1, so it becomes 2 defense. Really nice stuff, plus there is a lot of melee characters running around out there. If you want to look like the top 3, you have ranged, melee, and specialist. Those are going to be your main ones. Specialist probably coming in the bottom, range going to be first, and then melee going to be your second most common character. So you're going to be able to get defense pretty often with that. The next two coming in here is going to be Sparring Gear. Now, Sparring Gear is a really good armor as well. It is an orange and a green battle icon card. The orange, not a huge fan of. However, I think there's only like 3 orange battle icons on the deck. So really, really easy to be able to put those in there. Like I said in a lot of videos, and I think I'm going to do a video about it specifically, is talking about the battle icons don't really matter too much. There are obviously, like if you're building a blue battle icon deck, you need blue battle icons. However, sometimes the card's ability is more important than its battle icon color. So the green is also really awesome, obviously allowing us to pick it up after combats. Again, we really want to have our armors. It really can suck. There's a lot of ways of dealing really big damage in this game, so you really got to have those armors to try to, like I said, hunker down. You really want to take as little damage as possible, and then try to obviously whittle your opponent down. And then this does give access to tough 2. You can obviously put on any character as well, so you can even put this one on a Flamewar, and all those characters get tough 2, which is really nice for our defense. Now the next 3 coming in here are all going to be ones of. The first off is going to be Enforcement Batons, an orange and a green battle icon card. Again, this is, I think, the other orange card. And then green allowing us to pick it up after combat. It is a weapon as well. And then it says when you put this on a character, you get to scrap an enemy weapon, and then does give +1 attack. So this is obviously designed to make sure that we don't have any of those opponent weapons really causing us problems. If they have any Energon Axes, or if they have crude clubs, or future upgrades that we're not going to talk about. This is going to be a really nice way to try to get rid of those things for the most part, get those off the table. We also do have a couple of actions to really help us out as well, but this is just going to be a really nice one of. Like I said, I run most of them as a one of in most lists. However, this one you guys are going to find pretty shocking if you guys watch a lot of my deck profile videos. I don't run a Bashing Shield. I have a reason for that. I don't run a Bashing Shield in here. I just don't think that this deck cares too much about armors. Therefore, I'm not really pushing it as far as that goes. I'm getting in for a little bit of pierce damage. Octone's hitting pretty big, but I have other ways of removing some upgrades if I do have anything really annoying in my way. However, for the most part, I just don't feel like this deck just needs the Bashing Shield. So next card coming in here is going to be Soldier's Blaster. This is a green battle icon card. Really nice for Mercenaries. I usually only run it with Mercenaries. Sometimes I've seen it as a sideboard card. If you're running like a straight up team and you're worried about the other team, then you can kind of put that in there, or as far as factions go. It is a weapon as well. Man, we have a lot of weapons, right? And I have another one after that. So a lot of weapons in here. And then it says when the upgraded character attacks an enemy from a different faction, the upgraded character gets +2 attack until end of battle. And then it comes naturally with 1. So for Mercenaries, because they are pretty hard to find, you will usually always be having the +3, whether you're going into Autobots or Decepticons, which is why the card is very relevant, I think, for them. However, if you're an Autobot and you're going to be another Autobot, it's +1 attack, and then it's just really not that good. And then if you're not about going up against a Decepticon, well, then it becomes +3. I think it's really awesome. So I love the design of the card. The art is obviously super awesome as well. But like I said, really, really good for Mercenaries. And then Drill Arms coming in here as the last card, is a blue battle icon helping out on defense, weapon. And then this says when you put this on a character, scrap an enemy armor. If you can't, draw a card, and then you do get +1 attack. So this is going to replace my Bashing Shield in this list. And there are ways for me to be able to get it just as easy as Bashing Shield, which is the main reason why I have it. And then it gets to fit the blue battle icon versus the orange battle icon, and then does get to give damage on top of that. So I think it's very relevant. So this is going to be our upgrades. Let's go ahead and jump into our actions. Getting into our actions, the first 3 coming in here is going to be Marksmanship, a blue battle icon card, helping out on defense. And then it says if you have a ranged character on the battlefield, you get to deal 2 damage to an enemy in bot mode. Now remember, it is in bot mode, not in alt mode, not in combiner mode, not in body mode. It does have to be in bot mode. So a very specific card. However, it is just a ridiculously good card. It really is. It's just 2 damage. We have access to technically 3 different characters in the list that are ranged. So as long as you just have one that is on the battlefield that has ranged, it doesn't have to be a specific, like even if Octone is in his melee mode, well, you still have a character on the battlefield that has ranged. So it still technically counts. The only time that you lose it is obviously if Flamewar is your last character standing, and if that's the case, well, that really sucks. So, but being able to get that 2 direct damage is very important. Obviously, like I said, we're doing so much direct damage in this list. We're just trying to poke our opponent as much as possible while applying as much pressure as possible with Octone. The next 3 coming in here is going to be Hidden Fortification. This is going to be a blue battle icon. Going to help us out on defense, and probably one of the best defensive cards that we have in the game currently. And that is going to be a secret action that says reveal when one of your characters defends, you get access to tough 3. So this is really nice, and one of the reasons why I only run 2 of each of those armors that we previously talked about is because we essentially have 7 armors in the deck with this card. Now this one just goes away at end of turn, a lot like evasive maneuvers. However, your opponent can't respond to it yet. Wave 5, different story. But with this card, like I said, being able to get access to tough 3 can be really, really nice. You happen to throw down an armor, you happen to have Hot Rod out there, and you have Flamewar in the right mode. Hot Rod can have tough 5, so it's going to be really hard for your opponent to push damage. The next 3 coming in, and this is going to be the big reason that I was talking about here, and that is going to be Dual Wield. Now, first off, this is a double black battle icon card, allowing us to be able to push that pierce. I know I talked about those double black battle icons in the deck. Really, really good stuff. Now, this says one of your characters gets an extra weapon slot until end of turn. So this essentially allows that if I have like an Energon Axe on a character, I can put an additional Energon Axe on the character. So we can do some pretty crazy stuff. And then on top of that, if that character is a mercenary, which obviously Octone's going to be a mercenary, you may play a weapon from your scrap pile. So just in case we need to talk about it again or kind of show it off what we want to do with weapons, we have a lot of options from our scrap pile. So if we happen to flip one of these cards, happen to not get one, or we happen to want to double down on it, nothing is cooler, let me tell you this, nothing is cooler than playing a sturdy javelin, playing a dual wield, get a sturdy javelin, swing, just deal 4 damage to something, or deal 2 damage to 2 different things. It's crazy. So good. Even stacking double Energon Axe, even being able to bring armed hovercraft back from the scrap pile to deal more damage to your opponent's entire team, be able to bring back your soldier's blaster. Oh, you have that really annoying weapon or armor that you need to get rid of. You're going to be able to hit those targets. This card is absolutely amazing and super good in the list, which is why it's definitely a 3 of. Really good stuff. And then again, because we do have access to so many weapons, sometimes we're going to hold weapons in our hand and have weapons on our characters and be like, well, this is awkward. Well, dual wield allows you to kind of get around that. Now, you do lose the upgrade at the end of turn, which is totally fine in most situations because you're only going to be using them as one-ofs. So, like, even if you happen to have an Energon Axe onto our Hot Rod, let's say, right, and we're about to go in for some damage, we can play Sturdy Javelin, we can bring out dual wield. It gives us the extra weapon slot till end of turn. We attack, we get to shoot our opponent for this. Well, now at end of turn, we go back down to 1 weapon slot, and guess what? We just have our 1 weapon. So really good stuff to be able to make sure that we get around a lot of those things. Like I said, even bringing back armed hovercraft, you get the +1 for the turn, you get to deal damage to everything at the end of turn, it just falls off. Totally fine. And then I obviously brought out Handheld Blaster because it is a weapon, but we're never going to be using it. The next tree coming in here is going to be Security Checkpoint. Now this is a double blue battle icon card, really helping us out on defense. Super good stuff. And it says each player reveals their hand and scraps all upgrades from it. Now this can be relevant in certain matchups. You're going up against the Galaxy Prime. They usually have a lot of upgrades, so you might be able to try to hit them early and get them off of a couple upgrades, maybe slow them down. Maybe like one of the only cards that they get left in their hands, like an Equipment Enthusiast. Well, now they have no upgrades. Against Captain Jetfire, who's usually reloading really quick with upgrades. Although it doesn't take Captain Jetfire long to get more upgrades, it can definitely slow them down. If you're going up against hand decks like maybe Shockwave, something else like that, can be really good to try to get a couple of those armors and a couple of those weapons out of their hands. Really, whatever the case is, you can really hit them down. Now, you guys got to see that we have a lot of upgrades in our list as well, so we might be able to hit our own, but even dual wield allows us to get around that and allows us to pick it back up next turn. So if we happen to like chuck an armed hovercraft to be able to hit our opponent for 2 or 3 upgrades, we're going to already be generating that card advantage, and then the dual wield to bring it back, we're now back to where we wanted to be. The next card coming in here is a 2 of, is going to be Leap into Battle. Now this is a blue battle icon card, however it is an offensive card. It does give us a +3 attack onto one of our characters. This is one of the reasons why I was saying we can get Octone to some pretty crazy numbers. If you happen to have 2 weapons on him, and then you happen to play a Leap into Battle, like we can have some pretty crazy stuff. Now obviously these are both actions, so you can't play them both in the same turn, but if like you have a previous weapon and then play a weapon for your turn and then play this, you can get into some pretty crazy stuff if you do want to go that route. Again though, like even if you happen to have like a sturdy javelin on him from the previous turn, and then you play this, now you're getting essentially +8 because you're getting 3 from his ability, 3 from this, and then 2 from the sturdy javelin. We can hit some really high numbers, and then obviously if we need to push damage with our little characters, this is just going to be a nice way to help us get a little more push with them. Now the next 2 coming in here is going to be Contract Contingency. This card is really good, and it's really the only deck that I actually like to run this card with, and it's just because unless I'm pushing a lot of black battle icons and just want the +2, the bounty ability is very relevant in this deck. So first off, it is a double black battle icon card, allowing us to push that pierce damage. It does say choose one of your characters that gets +2 until end of turn. So essentially it's just another way to help buff our other characters, help buff Octone, which is mainly what we're going to be putting it on. And then it says when the chosen character does 4 or more attack damage to an enemy without KOing it, you get to use that character's bounty ability. So if you notice, all the bounty abilities require you to KO your opponent's character. However, this one says that you get to do it anyway, obviously, which is the really nice part. So if we know Octone's going to be able to get in, but we don't have enough to KO, we're going to find ourselves in a really nice spot. We're going to be able to swing here. We're going to be able to hit our opponent. We're getting in for a base 8 right here, which is a really good number. And then if our opponent takes 4 or more, really good. We put on a weapon. We're pushing that damage, and then we get to just trigger the 2 anyway. Now, Really cool part is if we get that 2 damage, we can hit any character we want. Again, it does not need to go to the defender, so we can choose to hit any character that we want, which is really, really nice. So the one thing to know is that you can't double proc the bounty ability. If you guys read it, it does say when it doesn't enough attack damage, this bounty ability does not count as attack damage. So you can't like attack a character, have this proc, deal 2 damage to this character, KO that character, 2 damage to this character, KO that character. It does not work that way. So you can just get the 2 additional damage to any character that you want, which is really good. The next 2 coming in here is going to be Sabotaged Armaments. Now, this is a mainstay in a lot of really good blue decks just because this card is kind of really good. It is a blue battle icon card, really helping out on defense. And then it does say when one of your characters defends, you get to scrap all the attacker's weapons. So I know I talked about it in my previous gameplay video. If you guys did watch it, there was a specific scene where Sabotaged Armaments would have made a huge difference in a game, and I played around it, and then it ended up not being sabotaged, obviously, but it does hit all of the attacker's weapons. So if you happen to have 5 weapons on your Predaking and you swing into this, guess what? You are losing all 5 of your weapons. So really, really awesome card. Really good in these defensive decks, right? Because that's what you want to be doing, is stopping your opponent. If they play a big weapon against you, this is going to be really nice to help protect you. Now the last 4 coming in here are all going to be 1-ofs. First off, it's going to be Smelt. I haven't ran Smelt in the deck in a long time, but this is a really good control deck to be able to kind of do that with. It's a little bit of a slower deck, so I have more time to really specifically get to Smelt and use it on the turns that I really want to. Most of the times, like, upgrades are being played too fast, so where Smelt's kind of irrelevant. However, with the way that this deck plays out and the way that it kind of controls a little bit, we do have space to run it, so that's why it is a 1-of in the list. It is a blue and a green battle icon card, allowing us to get it after combat and help us out on defense. It says your opponent chooses one of their upgrades and scraps it. I was trying to word it differently there, but essentially your opponent gets to choose what upgrade they want to scrap. If they only have 1 upgrade, well, then they scrap that upgrade. If they have 2, then they have to choose. They have 5, they have to choose. Same thing goes. So that's why Smelt can sometimes be really awkward, is that if your opponent has like a bad upgrade and a good upgrade on them, then they just scrap the bad one. Or if, like, one thing to watch out for is like bashing shields or armed hovercrafts or some of these other things. If your opponent has them on a character and you smelt it away, well, now it's going to the scrap pile. It can get shuffled to get back into their hand. So you do have to be a little bit careful about when you play it. It's why it is a 1-of in the list. Next one coming in here is going to be Espionage. Now, this card I usually run as a 2-of in most of my control decks. However, this one felt really nice space for it to be able to put it in here as a 1-of. It's mainly used as a deterrent than it is anything else, but also to be able to kind of protect myself when I need it in those last bit moments. It is going to be a white and a green battle icon card. White helping us out on defense. Flipping 2 more, and then green, we can get it after combats. But the threat of even having green is very, very relevant. It says choose a battle icon color, then look at your opponent's hand and scrap a card from it that has that battle icon color. Now, first off, like I said, this card is just a threat to see. If your opponent sees it, they start to play differently no matter what. When they get to, like, if you flip this on defense and let's say you don't really have a choice to pick it up and you let it go, it's going to automatically show that your opponent that you either possibly have another one in your hand, or you're like, okay, I'll let this one go, I'll get the next one. They don't know that you only have a 1-of in the list. So it can be really, really nice. Not to mention, if your opponent is attacking and you see this bad boy on defense, the attacker, the person with priority, is supposed to make all of their choices for green battle icons first. You technically are not supposed to be doing them at the same time. Now, obviously, if you guys are both on the same level, you guys are both playing at the same speed, it's totally okay to do, but you can't be like, oh, well, you grab this card, well, now I'm going to swap this green for this green instead of this one. Well, that's not how it's supposed to work. Whoever is attacking has priority. They're supposed to choose which battle icon color they want to pick up first. And if your opponent has one that they want to grab but sees that you have an Espionage on your defensive flips that you can just swap out a card for to get to play this, not, hit their card that they just grabbed, oh man, the mind games are pretty good. So even having one on the list I think is really awesome. Next card coming in here is a 1-of is going to be Vaporized. Now, this is going to be in here for the same reason why Smelt and some of those other upgrades are. It is just a way to remove an upgrade. First off, it is a blue battle icon card, help us out on defense, and then it just says scrap an enemy upgrade. So it's just going to be really nice to be able to hit anything that's really bugging us, whether it's an armor, whether it's a weapon, whether it's an energy pack, whether it's a composite armor, anything that's really in your way that's really kind of being a pain in the butt. Really nice way to be able to just get it off the table. And then finally coming in is going to be Disarm. This is going to be a one of in the list as well. It is a blue battle icon, help us out on defense. And then it does say return all upgrades on a character to their owner's hands. Now this card I've been running as a like a one of or a two of in every single blue deck. I know that if you guys have been watching my deck profile videos, I always have it in there. It's a really good way to be able to disrupt Major Shockwave, Galaxy Prime, General, Megatron, Predaking, a lot of different characters, Captain Ironhide, a lot of different characters can get just completely wrecked by this card. Now, a lot of those can also kind of recover pretty quickly, which is why those characters are so good, but this is a really nice way of being able to set them back for pretty solid amounts. And then the other really cool thing to do is for us to be able to disarm ourselves. So if we do go into a situation where we know that our opponent has a Sabotage Armaments down, we can disarm ourselves to be able to save our upgrades. We can even disarm ourselves on a Armed Hovercraft and then replay an Armed Hovercraft. So we can essentially get 2 procs out of that one if we're not finding a use for it on our opponent's character. Well, let's just do it to ourselves and just get even more damage. So we can have a lot of fun with it. Now, I know I talked about sequencing at the beginning of the video, essentially, but I'm going to talk about it again just to kind of clarify things and make sure that you guys understand the sequencing and the reasoning behind the sequencing. So usually whenever it comes to like my turn 1, obviously we want to try to go first. However, if we don't, it's really not as bad in this list. Our opponent will most likely target Flamewar, which is, going to be okay. She's going to take some damage. She will go down, but she's really just there to kind of stem the bleeding a little bit when it does come to the later games. If we do get to go first, we are going to flip Flamewar and we are going to send in Hot Rod. That is going to be our first play, and that does give him access to now built-in tough 2, so your opponent can't get around that. It's not like it's an armor they can blow up, they can do anything with. So it's going to be really nice to be able to get us into that situation. And then when it comes to your turn 2, it really depends. Like if our opponent has Decepticons or Autobots, either way, we're usually going to be trying to flip Octone. This is the play where we're going to try to hopefully get a Kinetic Converter down first, and then we're going to flip here to try to get our drawing back online, to try to start to really get ahead of a lot of stuff, because from here on out, we're going to be doing, this kind of a bad boy over and over and over. Now, I've seen that some people play it a little differently, and it comes down to what your matchup is. If you're going up against heavy orange, you can do whatever you want. If you're going up against a blue deck, you're going with something a little slower, I would actually throw Octone second. So I would probably flip here, and then we'd probably do something like this. We would probably get in. That way, we're either trying to ping them for damage if they have Decepticons, or if they're on, even on Autobots, so next turn we can transform and go back into this mode. If we are obviously attacking into an Autobot and we need to really push that damage there, then I would just stay in this mode, and then we would just try to attack in. I'm only flipping into this mode if we're trying to ping for 1, or if we're just trying to get damage on a Decepticon. So if we're going up against Autobots, obviously swing in there. If we're going up against Decepticons, obviously swing in here. So let's say we are going to flip over here. Like I said, we're going to try to get that draw card. We're going to send in Octone, and then on our third turn, we're going to obviously flip Octone back and then get in for Flamewar. Now, what this is going to do is just protect her a little bit more. However, if we're going up against an orange list and you're a little worried about taking too much damage to your Octone, then obviously I keep the same thing. Turn 1, I'd flip Flamewar. I'd send in Hot Rod. He can take a punch. He's totally okay with that. And then turn 2, we either flip Octone, since we're not going to be attacking it, let's say, into an Autobot or Decepticon anyway, and then we're send in Flamewar. That is going to kind of send her out there to get really beat up, but like I said, this is only if you're really worried about your Octone getting like 2-shot. If you send your Octone here, he gets hit, you swing here, he gets hit, and then you get the reset, and you're kind of worried about him going down at that point, then that is when I would be throwing Flamewar first. However, in most situations, I do throw Octone second, especially since this is a very heavy blue deck. It is really easy to be able to protect him, and he does have 17 health. He has a lot of health, so believe me, he's going to be okay unless you're going to be in something that's constantly pushing 15 damage, or is like running RC with a bunch of Pierce. Then yes, throw Flamewar second. Alrighty guys, I hope that you guys did enjoy this video. Obviously, a like would be greatly appreciated. Make sure you guys do subscribe so you guys can get access to all of our videos as soon as they become available, and that way you guys can go back and watch a lot of our stuff. I know a lot of people are curious about me doing the box release Soundwave as a deck profile. I will be showing you guys something here soon, so don't worry about that. I know this has been a highly requested character. I've got some really cool stuff that we are going to be doing with the character as well. I will tell you he will get better with Wave 5, so all of you out there who are a little curious about it, Wave 5 is going to be able to push him a little bit higher on the list. I still don't know where exactly he's going to sit, but I will be doing a deck profile video for you guys later on. Again, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will catch you guys in the next one.